Hello there everyone and welcome to a new review on the channel. And today we will be looking at something that came out quite a long time ago, but with the recent TV special of David Blaine's Do Not Attempt, which is fantastic by the way if you haven't watched it. Maybe a lot of people will be like, oh, I want to perform some of David's stuff, and this may start getting back into the conversation. And of course, I'm talking about the David Blaine Studio, which is learn magic directly from David Blaine's repertoire, which was something that was a bit, a hot topic when it came out, especially because of the price and everything. But I do want to make a review on it because of, the recent TV special, and also because if you have the money for it, I do think it is worth it within some constraints. So we're going to dissect everything right after the intro. Perfect. So you decide to stick around, which means you want to learn more about David Blaine Studio. So what is it? If you're not familiar with the Studio platform, it is some of the leading kind of faces of different, areas of, art in general. So whether it's music, whether it's art, whether it's magic, whether it's video production, whether it's, kitchen, whether it's film, whether it's TV shows, whether it's talk show, whether it's just to learn how to be a businessman, all of these types of things. There's leading faces in the world that do these studio lectures where they give you all of their tips and tricks and information regarding that area. And David Blaine is the one that was chosen for the magic sector. So essentially the studio lecture, or kind of the studio course, because it's made more like a course, I will say is, but also was, different sections in which David Blaine will teach you effects from his repertoire, effects that you've seen him perform in his TV specials. Of course, he will not teach you how to put ice picks through your hand, swallow frogs, swallow, kerosene. But in terms of cards and a few stunts, he will teach you how to do them alongside Aussie Wind, and they're gonna, spitball a ton of information at you. The effects that they're gonna teach you are effects that, if you've been in magic for a bit, are very simple. So you may be a bit, a bit let down by the material, but there is kind of something that this studio lecture made me realize a bit ago. So before we unpack everything, I just want to say that, now the lecture is expensive, and you don't get the benefits that you had before, if you had it when it came out. If you're within the first 50 people to sign up, which I believe I was, I think it's 50, or maybe it was first 200, but I think it was first 50 people, you actually got sent 2 special deck of David Blaine cards, one signed by David himself, and you also got access to a private kind of call with David Blaine and a few other people, just to chat a bit before the class started. So if you were among those first few people, which I luckily was, I got to get the signed deck, a normal deck, and access to that private little event online. So to me, just that made the entire experience worth it, because at the start it was even cheaper than it was now. When it came out, it was $249 at an introductory price for the first people that signed up, USD, and now the price is basically double that, and you don't get the decks, you don't get all of it. And as well, while the course was undergoing, what was nice is that it was interactive. There was some jams going on, you had like homework, and people got to share different ideas, different tricks. It was kind of a whole jam for an entire month. It was really, really fun and really good. And now, unfortunately, if you're, subscribing to it, you're not going to get those jams and those feedback effects and everything like that. You'll get to see the videos of all the people in the past, myself included. I did share some ideas on there. But you're not going to get any new content. You can probably still put new content, and if people subscribe, they'll see it, but there's not that active community that it had before. So I did want to mention that if you subscribe now, you won't get any of these benefits. So I'm talking about all this, but where do you subscribe? How much does it cost? And what do you really get? So this is something that you're going to subscribe on the studio website. So you go on the studio.com website, you look in categories, you type magic, you find David Blaine, and you'll get your course. It will set you back. This is, I know, I'm telling you right now, 500 USD. So the price is almost double, and you're not getting all of the benefits. So this is extremely expensive. It is always or almost once a month on sale at 300 USD. So if you want, you can get it at 300 USD when it's on sale, which at the moment of video it is right now, because as I said, almost once a month these studio lectures go on sale, because I think that no one actually buys them at full price, because 500 USD is a lot. But at 300 USD, if you're really into it, I still think it's worth it. But you're not going to get as I said, all of the bonuses like the decks, the meeting with David, the rubric with the chats and the jams. You're not going to get all of that. But what you do get is a structured course. So you're going to get, one is going to be kind of your prologue course, in which Asi Wind is actually going to teach you very simple card moves. So before the course, because David doesn't want to spend, a long time on it, he's going to teach you a lot of the basic things. He's going to teach you how to hold the deck, how to give a deck an overhand shuffle. He's going to teach you a very simple way of doing, a double lift. He's going to teach you some moves here and there. Essentially, they're going to teach you very, very simple things before the course. How to hold, a pinky break. If you have a card, they're going to teach you how to hold that. They're going to teach you kind of introductory stuff. If you've never held a deck of cards before, they're going to teach you, Asi Win's going to teach you some of the maneuvers that you can do in order to, start the course with a bit of knowledge. After that, you're going to start with the first rubric. The first rubric is essentially more simple effects that David does with cards. But by simple, that doesn't mean they're bad. This is kind of an overarching theme of the rest, because the first rubric is kind of more easy effect. The second one is taking those principles and those effects and making them more deceptive. And then the third rubric is effects that he performed in his specials. And the last rubric is going to be feats. So he's actually going to teach you how to hold your breath for longer and how he practiced for his stunt and some of those things. So essentially these all flow well. And as I said, if you're prolific in card magic, a lot of these things, you're going to be like, I already know this. I paid, this enormous amount of money for effects that I already know and I already perform. What? But the thing that this actually made me realize is that some of the best card magicians and magicians in general in our generation, like David Blaine and Asi Wind, they perform these simple effects that us as magicians, we write all these gimmicks and all these stuff, and they perform the most simple variations. There's an out of this world that Asi Wind performs in his show. It's the out of this world that you learn on YouTube, but he just adds one twist to it, and that's the one he does in his professional show. And that's kind of what this studio made me realize, is that we're trying to push so hard to be so incredibly deceptive and cool that sometimes the most simple effects are the one that garnish the best reactions. And even if you look at David Blaine's most recent special, all of the effects that he performs are card under watch, ambitious card, and the classic, you have, ace of spades, ace of clubs. Look, I snap my fingers, are now changed into an ace of hearts, ace of diamonds, or whatever. That's the effects that he performs when he's actually performing magic to people. So since I've seen the studio when it came out, I really changed my approach. I'm now performing more simple stuff. I still learn knuckle busting moves and things like that, but I'm just focused on more simple and easy effects. But that is to say that what you're going to learn in this, you're going to learn some coin effects. You're going to learn how to do the French drop and how to apply it in some context. You're going to learn some variations of out of this world. You're going to learn the classic 2-card switch. You're going to learn, a classic 2-card transpo. You're going to learn how to hold your breath. You're going to learn how to twist your arm as a full 360, which is something that he performed in one of his TV specials. He's going to teach you how to find a selected card within a spread. He's going to teach you how to find a selected card with one finger just by flicking the deck. He's going to teach you ways of finding cards with, really fun principles, like in spreads like this with the Spectre in their hand. Very kind of tricks that we all see as beginners, but that with just the few touches that David and Asi add to them, they're much more fooling. So yes, you're going to get tricks that you already know, but even then, seeing how they perform it does elevate the effect to some point. So that's essentially what you get with your studio lecture. You're going to get all of those rubrics with videos. Probably all of the material put together is around 5 hours long. If you add up all the videos, around 5 hours long. And you also get lifetime access to this. So it's not after a month it disappears. You have lifetime access to your course, so you can keep revisiting it, which is something that I do sometimes. So that is what you get with your purchase. So I know that was a long-winded way of starting the video, but I think that's the meat of it. That's what I wanted you to realize, that these are simple effects that you maybe dispel or say, oh, they're too easy, or oh, no one performs this anymore. But these actual professionals that people look up to and, adore. I love David Blaine and Aussie Wynn. I think they're some of the best magicians, if not in my top 5 of all time. And they perform these simple effects, and you can perform them too. So that's essentially what you get within your studio lecture. Okay, so you're going to get those effects and the effects that people have published in the jam sessions, etc. You're going to get access to those as well. So now that we've discussed all that, what is the difficulty of the material here? I think I've already hinted at it, but everything here is super simple. Yes, when he teaches you how to do the breath hold and stuff like that, it does take, more practice than, doing a red hot mama. But most of the effects that actually use cards or coins are incredibly simple, incredibly deceptive, and within everyone's wheelhouse. Now let's talk about practicality. So what is the practicality of the effect? Incredibly practical. As you probably know, David and or Aussie Wind don't really use gimmicks. So almost all of the effects that you see here, you can leave your house with a normal deck of cards, 1 or 2 coins, and you're good to perform. That's all you need to do every effect in this, in this course. A deck of cards, 1 or 2 coins, and you're running to the hills with effects to do. In terms of angles and all of that, the angles are pretty good for every single effect. Most of them are 360 degrees. In terms of reset, most effects are reset instantly. In terms of repeatability, the effects can be repeated. In terms of a table, some of the effects will require a table, whereas some will not. But as like an out of this world will require a table, but something like a 2-card transpo will not. So you get a good variation in that as well. And that's all I have to say about practicality. Now, where do you perform? Anywhere. So these effects are effects that you could do close-up, table hopping, cabaret, parlor, stage, wherever you want. You could do the effects that are taught to you in this studio course. So now that I've said all of that, what are the positives and negatives of this course? First of all, let's get into the negatives. The biggest negative of this is the price. When I signed up, it was 229 or 249 USD, which is around 350 Canadian it cost me. But I did get 1 signed deck by David Blaine, 1 normal special edition deck that was only published for the studio lecture. I got access to all the jams, all the content with people. I got to interact with people online. As well, I get access to that little, special video with David, etc. So you did get a lot more initially than now. So the negative is that now you're paying double the price, or even $50 more when it's on sale than the price it used to be, and you're not getting all of that. Yes, you'll be getting the course, but you'll not be getting all of the rest of the material that we all got, okay? Second negative that is that if you're prolific in cards, you already know all of the material here. And it's a negative for some people because yes, if I were to pay 500 USD, which is around 750 Canadian, to learn Red Hot Mama and a 2-card transpo, I would kind of be mad as hell, right? I understand that. But it does put in perspective, on the other hand, that you do not need the latest gimmicks, the latest gadgets, the latest, decks, the latest stacks to perform and amaze people and become the best you could be. Sometimes the most simple effects are what get you there. And that's one of the things that, is a positive for me, but for the price that is 500 USD, it could be a major negative for some people, that these are effects, you're going to be learning the French drop and how to do a coin vanish with the French drop. I think we all know how to do it. So paying 750 Canadian or 500 USD for that could hurt the pockets a bit. But in regards to positives, again, I won't consider the bonuses that I got in the positives, but the biggest positive is just learning that some of the best card handlers and magicians and figures in the magic industry right now perform these simple effects that a lot of us dismiss. That is their repertoire, and they teach you that, and you get to learn here how to do them and how to perform them from them. And yes, it is a rare opportunity to have access to this, and I think that it's great. So that is the biggest positive. Except for that, it's the effects are easy to do. You can do them anywhere, and they're effects that are strong. Like, yes, they are simple, but the effects are strong. The strongest effect in my repertoire is the classic, I have the ace of spades, put in your hand, I have the ace of clubs. And then in this studio lecture, David Blaine teaches you his updated handling, which is, I won't say what it is, it's a very simple change, but it is the strongest effect in my entire repertoire. And I learned it from the studio lecture, and it's the effect I do all the time, and it's the effect that leaves people speechless. And just to say, even this week, I was, we had a few things at school, some parent nights and some gatherings with people within the school, and some people asked me to perform some effects, and for every person I did that effect, and some people literally, their jaws hit the floor. Like, they were speechless. So, just to show you that some of these simple effects, just some fine tuning, brings them to new heights. And I still think there's a lot of positive in this, but not at full price. So would I recommend it? In my honest opinion, no. I would not recommend anyone spend the 500 USD for this. I don't think it's worth it. I think it's too expensive. And I think that studio is a bit trying to extort its clientele because of the big name that's actually teaching the magic. However, if it's on sale at 300 USD and you really want to learn about David Blaine and you really want to see the magic that he does, or if you're new to magic, this could be a very good introduction to you. So rather than spending, 200 USD on magic kits with, plastic props and plastic gimmickry that you're never going to use in your life, maybe spending that extra $100 and actually learning from some of the best magicians out there, some effects, is definitely worth the price. So overall, this is definitely not something, that's attainable by a lot of people. But if you have the means, it is on sale, and you want to learn from it, I do recommend it, but not at full price. And because you miss out on a lot of the bonuses, even at 300 USD, it's hard for me to recommend it because knowing the material, it is material that you probably already know. But it is still an experience. It is something fun. And that's all I have to say about it. Feel free to give me your thoughts on this. Were you part of the membership? Were you not? Were you thinking about it? What are your thoughts on this? So thank you so much for watching. I know I waffled a lot in this review, but that's just my nature. And I feel that this is worthy of a discussion. Maybe we'll even do a small podcast like I used to do before regarding the studio lecture, if that interests some of you. So that's all I have to say. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next review. Have a great one, and bye-bye.